let's say if we have a new parent with a newly diagnosed child who's on the spectrum of autism spectrum, what would you suggest to them that they would take? What in order to prep them with more information about their child?
We have an Autism in the Operants class. The operants are the language behind verbal behavior. They have created this entire language to confuse and make us all feel ridiculous. That's set up for professionals, really. But in order for us to take a lot of the classes that that are out there given by nationally known speakers, you have to have them. You have to know what MAND and TACT and interverbal are and RFFC and all of these other things that most people would never have to educate themselves to raise a child to do, but we do. So I recommend that they take Autism in the Operants. But managing problem behaviors is for me the touchstone of what keeps our children living in a community living.
And what do you mean by that,
managing problem behaviors means that you are able to have access to your child when you need them. It means that you are able to help them cope with issues that they have or ignore issues that they're creating when appropriate, so that your child can have success all of the time, so that they're not tantruming, so that they're not screaming, so that they're not bolting, so that they're not having a myriad of problems that we see with our kids, so that they're not stimming so much self-stimulatory behavior that you can't access them, because they can't learn unless you can access them. So managing problem behaviors is really important. I want to say that Autism Speaks offers a free first 100 days book, which is really valuable. And on our website we have a newly diagnosed download as well, which gives parents kind of the 411 on what they need to do.
And what's your website?
Our website is www.POAC-NoVA.org.
Okay.
And it has just a wide berth of information. I'd also say that the newly diagnosed really need to invest in the VB map, and the VB map is by Dr. Mark Sundberg. It is an assessment and curriculum guideline so that you can understand how your child is measuring up to a child of that same age. It covers everything from language to following directions to socialization, toileting. It pretty much runs the gamut of what you need to know about your child to get them to the next step in the assessment. And then the curriculum would give you the information on how to get more information or how to gain access to the next set of skills. So maybe my child is able to stack 3 blocks. Well, that at the age of 2.5, that's a great skill. But maybe when I say their name, Dylan, they don't look at me when I speak to them. How am I going to gain access to that? It kind of breaks it down for you. And that's all part of ABA, but that's a fairly new book out. Before it would have been the ABLES. That was its predecessor, but now people are using VB Map. It's somewhat more parent-friendly, actually.
And what does VB Map stand for?
Verbal Behavior Assessment. Wow, I don't know. I don't know. I would Google Mark Sundberg,
okay.
Or type in VB Map.
Okay.
VB-Map.
Okay.
M-A-P-P, not M-A-P.
Okay. Question for you. As far as you also talked about the importance, because the child is in the school, but also the child is with you at home, and being able to manage as far as your child's behavior and having a good behavior management program in the home. How important is it for a family to start in-home services for their child? Or just laying it just for the school system?
Financially, if they're capable of starting a program, a home program, the minute they hear the child is diagnosed. Because allegedly, and I don't buy this, but they say that you have only 6 years before the child's synaptic bridges are pretty much closed off and they're no longer able to learn at the same rate with the same intensity.
I agree with you as far as being a parent of autistic, well, two
yeah,
autistic
you have 2 autistic children.
I agree totally, but go ahead.
It's true, and they sell you this, but the reality is you do want to get them as early as possible. So the minute you hear finance is provided, then yes, go right ahead. But if you don't have the finances, start educating yourselves. Almost every class that we give, that's our typical day-long class where we have some fabulous local speakers, is $25 or $35. We offer scholarships for those who are financially in need. Parents who are educated are going to see such a difference with their kids that they would scarcely compare. We've seen children who are 8 years old who never had a word start speaking in our classes. We've seen children who looked pre-institutional do a complete about-face at 10 years old. The success is there. The opportunity is there. The question is, are you willing to work for it as a parent?
And as a parent, what are some of the criteria that they should look for in someone who's going to come into the home and provide ABA therapy for their child?
That's actually why we created the school, because before you were either a BCBA, which is a board certified behavior analyst, or you were pretty much nothing. That's a postmaster's degree, and I don't really think that you have to have a master's degree to be a great therapist. I've had some great high school students become therapists, and so the program in POAC was designed so that over a 5-month period of time, we would take somebody who was a librarian, somebody who was the sister of a child with autism. We had a woman who was the aunt of a child with autism. We had a bartender learn over 5 months in the home of a child with autism how to work with this child. We would send a mentor in to oversee them, to make sure that they were using best practices, to make sure that they were following through, that they were doing great verbal behavior. And we had this series of 7 classes set up so that they would have the opportunity to really delve into verbal behavior and hopefully make it their career. And then, of course, later on we'd want them to become BCBAs anyway. But it's really hard to find somebody who's competent, and I would say that there are a lot of people out there who are accredited who I wouldn't want working with my child. So gut, maybe has something to do with it, how you feel about them from within, but there is no acid test right now for, terribly adept therapists. If there were, then there would be a lot fewer people making $80 an hour to teach your child the word chartreuse before they knew how to say milk or mommy.
Okay, well, I want to come back and discuss the actual school
great.
And the programming, but we'll do that right after this. And we've been talking with Shannon MrGrail from POAC-NoVA. She is a board member of Parents of Autistic Children in the Northern Virginia area. And we've been discussing in regards to all of the resources you have for parents as far as getting them trained and well informed for their child who is autistic. I want to go in a little bit more detail about the school that you have as far as for not only for parents but also those who might be BCBA or anyone who wants to become more informed on how to be a therapist for a child who is autistic.
Well, we're taking applications starting in April 1st until I think it's May 15th for parents who are interested in having a BCBA student come work in their home. So we're looking for families right now who will be getting 7 hours of service a week for a semester. The student can stay as long as 3 semesters, so that's, for many of us, that's a long time to have a therapist, while the parent is being trained alongside this person. And those classes will not start until August, but the application process starts now because it's all done through George Mason University. There's a POAC-NoVA and George Mason, along with the Keller Center, have joined together on this particular project.
Okay. So
they can get that information on our website, poac-nova.org, and we're looking for BCBA students as well.